Hello everybody and welcome to this week's edition of Pinto's Preview here on 740thefan.com and KFGO.com. And of course, it's National Championship weekend. NDSU taking on Towson University in the FCS National Championship in Frisco, Texas. NDSU going for a three-peat, while Towson is looking for their first national championship in school history. In fact, last year, they didn't even make the playoffs. Big turnaround for the Towson Tigers. A lot of it has to be credited to the prowess of running back Terrence West. And that's the first point I want to make is NDSU, can they be good enough defensively to stop Terrence West? What makes him different than, say, David Johnson or Zach Zenner? Well, reality is he is a better runner outside than Zach Zenner, better runner inside than David Johnson. He has all of the qualities that you want from a running back. In fact, even the NFL is looking at him so much so he's going to leave Towson early, a year early, which is very unheard of for an FCS player, and he's going to enter the NFL draft. This guy has come up with over half of his career yardage this year alone and almost over half of his career touchdowns this year alone. This guy is the real deal. Terrence West, a Walter Payton Award finalist. Look for him to be a big factor. The only way NDSU gets him out of his comfort zone is the second point I want to make is limiting carries. They did it against Zach Zenner. They did it against David Johnson of UNI. They did it against Lorenzo Taliaferro of Coastal Carolina. These big backs that require 20 to 25 carries a game, NDSU's cutting those things down in half. Zenner had something like 5 carries, if that. David Johnson only had 12 carries. You had Coastal Carolina. Taliaferro only had 11 to 12 carries. These guys demand carries because they demand those carries late in the game when teams are trailing them. Well, NDSU has been able to jump out the big leads. They've been able to make sure that teams have to pass to catch up. That's what NDSU is going to have to do. They're going to have to take Towson out of their comfort zone, force Towson to pass. Now, Towson, if I'm the Tigers, I don't want to start out anything different. I don't want to go away from my game plan. Even if I'm getting 2 to 3 yards of crack, you keep running the ball. And I think that's what they're going to do with Peter Athens, their starting quarterback with a bad shoulder. I think Towson is going to try to stay with that run, but NDSU needs to limit the yardage, and they need to force Towson into a one-dimensional team. The third point I want to make is on the other side of the ball for Towson defensively. They're going to bring a lot of pressure. They're a risk-taking defense, and usually they get to the quarterback. 41 sacks so far this year as a team. However, they have to do it at the right time. You can't just blitz all the time and hope it works because NDSU is going to burn you underneath with Ryan Smith and then go deep with Zach Vraa. You have to pick and choose your right spots. It's going to be a chess game for Towson early on. I think that's going to be the toughest thing for them to do. So far this year, Towson has not started out that well in the first quarter. I asked Brent Vigen, the offensive coordinator of NDSU, about that fact. He said, yeah, we noticed that. We may want to jump out a little bit early as part of, maybe I don't want to start going a little bit conservative first couple snaps of the game. I want to be a little bit more aggressive. I think if NDSU is aggressive, when Towson is aggressive, that's going to burn Towson. Towson needs to pick their spots. So look for Towson to pick their spots. Look for NDSU to take Terrence West out of the running game and at least Towson anyways out of what they want to do. And look for Terrence West to hopefully, for the Tigers side of it, have a big game. And that brings me to my X factor in this game. It's not Grant Olson. It's not Travis Beck. Carlton Littlejohn. He's the guy in the middle. He's going to be making a lot of calls, and I think his main responsibility is making sure he knows where Terrence West is at all times. Beck on the outside, along with Carlton Littlejohn on the outside, Esley Thornton on the outside. These guys are all important, but Carlton Littlejohn, to me, taking over for Grant Olson is going to be vitally important to this team's success. To me, he's the X factor in tomorrow's game against Towson. He's going to have a lot of responsibility going up against Mr. West. The guy, he's a big-time guy. I think he'll be drafted probably 4th, maybe 3rd, 5th round, somewhere in that regards because short guy, 5'11", but a lot of power, good speed. He's just here while the other running backs in the FCS are here. No, I don't mean anything wrong or mean to Zach Zenner or David Johnson or guys like that, but again, West, everybody else, he's that good. Carlton Littlejohn's going to be the X factor in tomorrow's game. Finally, my prediction. Betting line offshore has something like 13.5 in favor of NDSU. I'm going to put it higher than that. Towson gives up a lot of yardage on defense, especially through the air. They're a risk-taking defense. I said if they're going to be aggressive, when NDSU is aggressive, NDSU is going to win that battle. NDSU has a veteran and a better offensive line than what Towson can offer defensively. NDSU's running backs, Sam Ojuri is going to power through there, soften up those linebackers. Next thing you know, here comes Crockett with the speed. NDSU is just too good this year offensively to only have a 13.5 point cushion. I'm going to say 20 points. I'm going to say NDSU wins big here, 34-14. That's how I see it going. NDSU is going to three-peat as the national champions, and we're going to talk about next year in 2014 when NDSU could do to maybe go for a four-peat. It's not out of the realm of possibilities, but before we get to that, NDSU 34-14 over Towson and a third straight national championship. For Pinto's preview on 740thefan.com and KFGO.com, I'm Daniel Gunderson.